Witness Ruth's inspiring journey of faith, love, and legacy in a modern animated exploration. We begin in a small, bustling cityscape. It's evening. The streets are crowded. The noise of traffic fills the air. And yet, amidst the chaos, there's an inexplicable stillness in one woman's eyes. Ruth. You don't know her yet. But by the end of this journey, you will see your own reflection in her story. Imagine this: Ruth, a single mother of two, holds a handwritten note close to her chest. It's an eviction notice. She's drowning under the weight of unpaid bills, endless responsibilities, and the crushing loneliness of raising two children while the world demands more than she can give. Have you ever felt like that? Like the weight of the world was yours to carry alone? She sits on a park bench, watching her kids play. One falls, cries, and runs to her. She comforts the child without hesitation, her exhaustion momentarily masked by love. This scene, simple and fleeting, sets the tone. Ruth is more than a woman in trouble. She is a woman with a heart ready to pour itself out for others, even when it's breaking. As we follow Ruth, we'll explore how her life becomes a modern parable, one that mirrors the profound teachings of Christ in ways that are both surprising and transformative. What does it mean to have faith when hope seems lost? Ruth didn't start her journey with unwavering belief. Her faith was more like a fragile thread, frayed by life's cruelty. And yet, that thread would soon connect her to something far greater. The story shifts. Ruth is in line at a soup kitchen. A kind volunteer offers her an extra sandwich for her kids. It's not much, but it's more than she expected. That act of kindness sparks something within her, a faint whisper of hope. Here's the first challenge for you: what if kindness, no matter how small, is the seed of faith? Think about it. When was the last time you offered or received kindness? Did it change your day? Your heart? Fast forward, Ruth begins to notice the moments of grace in her life. A stranger offers her a ride on a rainy day. Her landlord extends her rent deadline after hearing her story. Each moment seems insignificant on its own, but together they paint a picture of divine providence. And then comes the turning point. Ruth meets an elderly woman at church. Let's call her Naomi. Naomi is vibrant despite her years, always smiling, always encouraging. She invites Ruth to tea. And for the first time in years, Ruth opens up about her struggles. Naomi listens, truly listens. And then she shares her own story, a story of loss, love, and redemption. She speaks of a love so powerful that it carried her through unimaginable grief, the love of Christ. She describes how this love isn't just a feeling, it's a commitment, a choice, a daily act of surrender and trust. Ruth is skeptical. She doesn't see how faith can fix her unpaid bills or cure her loneliness. But Naomi doesn't preach. She simply says, "Try. Let love lead. Just for one day. See what happens." Here's a question for you: if you let love, not fear, not pride, not anger, lead your decisions for just one day, what might change? Ruth decides to take Naomi's advice. She begins small. She forgives a neighbor who insulted her weeks ago. She smiles at the cashier who looks just as tired as she feels. She prays. Not with grand words, but with honesty. "I don't know if you're listening, but if you are, help me." And then something extraordinary happens. One day, Ruth notices an envelope slipped under her door. Inside is cash, just enough to cover her overdue rent. There's no note. No explanation. Just grace. Ruth is overwhelmed. Not just by relief, but by the realization that she is not alone. She begins to see her struggles not as punishments, but as part of a larger story. One she doesn't fully understand yet but is starting to trust. This part of Ruth's journey echoes the Beatitudes, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." How often do we resist this truth? How often do we see brokenness as the end, rather than the beginning? Ruth's faith begins to grow, not as a solution to her problems, but as a source of strength to face them. She starts volunteering at the same soup kitchen that once fed her, giving back not out of obligation, but out of gratitude. She begins to see her challenges not as barriers, but as bridges to understanding and connecting with others. Her children notice the change. They see their mother smiling more, laughing more, loving more. It's as if the light within her is spreading, touching everyone around her. Here's where we leave Ruth for now, with this final question: what legacy are you building today? Is it one of love, faith, and generosity, or something else? Ruth's legacy of love, transforming pain into purpose. We pick up where we left off. Ruth's faith is no longer a faint thread, it's becoming a tapestry. Woven into it are moments of kindness, gratitude, and trust. Yet, as with any great story, the path forward isn't without challenges. One day, Ruth receives a call that jolts her world. Her estranged brother, Michael, is in the hospital. They haven't spoken in years. Not since an argument over their late parents' inheritance tore them apart. The bitterness lingered. Like an open wound neither had the courage to heal. Ruth hesitates. Should she go? Memories of harsh words and unspoken apologies resurface. But then Naomi's words echo in her heart, "Let love lead." Just for one day. Ruth goes to the hospital. The sight of Michael, frail and vulnerable, breaks her heart. For the first time in years, she sees not the brother who wronged her, but the brother she shared her childhood with, the one who taught her how to ride a bike, who stood up for her in schoolyard fights, who made her laugh until her stomach hurt. Without overthinking, she takes his hand and whispers, "I'm here." Michael looks at her, tears welling up in his eyes. "I didn't think you'd come." "I almost didn't," Ruth admits. "But I couldn't stay away. I've missed you, Michael. I don't want us to waste any more time." This moment is profound. It's the embodiment of forgiveness, a teaching of Christ that is both simple and impossibly difficult. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. How often do we truly grasp the power of these words? Here's a question for you: who in your life needs your forgiveness right now? And what's holding you back from giving it? Ruth and Michael spend hours talking, laughing, and crying. They don't resolve everything. Some wounds take time to heal, but they take the first steps. This act of forgiveness becomes a ripple that spreads through Ruth's life. She begins to see how much bitterness she's carried over the years. Not just toward Michael, but toward life itself. Slowly, she lets it go. And in its place, something beautiful begins to grow: peace. With this newfound peace, Ruth decides to pursue a long-held dream. She's always loved baking, a skill she learned from her mother. It's a simple passion, but one that brings her immense joy. Encouraged by Naomi and her children, she starts a small home-based bakery. The business is modest at first, just a few orders from neighbors and friends. But word spreads quickly. People aren't just drawn to Ruth's delicious cakes and pastries, they're drawn to her warmth, her story, her unwavering spirit. Her bakery becomes a gathering place, a symbol of resilience and hope. Here's where Ruth's journey takes an even more inspiring turn. One day, a young woman named Clara walks into the bakery. She's visibly upset, her eyes red from crying. Ruth, noticing her distress, offers her a cup of tea and a listening ear. Clara shares her story. She's a single mother, struggling to make ends meet, much like Ruth once was. Ruth listens without judgment, offering words of comfort and encouragement. She even gives Clara a job at the bakery, knowing firsthand the power of a second chance. This act of kindness sets off a chain reaction. Clara's confidence grows, and she begins to rebuild her life. Inspired by Ruth's example, she starts mentoring other young mothers in her community, creating a network of support and empowerment. This is the essence of legacy, not what we leave behind, but what we build in others. Ruth's journey reminds us that even the smallest acts of love can have a profound impact. But Ruth's story isn't just about personal triumph, it's about the transformative power of faith. She continues to face challenges, financial setbacks, moments of self-doubt, but her faith remains her anchor. She learns to see these trials not as obstacles, but as opportunities to grow closer to God and to those around her. One evening, as Ruth and Naomi sit on the bakery's porch, watching the sunset, Naomi says something that stays with Ruth forever. Do you see how the light paints the sky, even after the darkest storm? That's what faith does. It turns our pain into something beautiful. And it's true. Ruth's life is far from perfect, but it's full of love, purpose, and a legacy that continues to grow. Now, let's turn the focus back to you. What kind of legacy are you building? Are you planting seeds of kindness, forgiveness, and hope? Or are you letting fear and resentment dictate your choices? Building a legacy of faith that lasts beyond a lifetime. Ruth's bakery becomes more than a business, it becomes a beacon. People come not only for the pastries but for the atmosphere of love and acceptance. It's a place where stories are shared, burdens are lightened, and lives are changed. One day, a local journalist hears about Ruth's story and decides to feature her in an article. The piece, titled "From Struggles to Sweetness, Ruth's Journey of Faith and Love," captures the hearts of readers across the city. Orders pour in, and the bakery's success grows. But for Ruth, the true reward isn't in the financial gain, it's in the lives touched by her story. Clara, now a thriving entrepreneur in her own right, often visits Ruth to express her gratitude. Together, they organize workshops for struggling families, teaching them skills to build their own small businesses. These workshops become a lifeline for many, creating a ripple effect of empowerment and resilience throughout the community. And then comes a moment Ruth never expected. A young man named David walks into the bakery one afternoon. He's shy, his hands trembling as he places a small, carefully wrapped package on the counter. "This is for you," he says, his voice barely above a whisper. Ruth opens the package to find a beautifully crafted wooden cross. Etched into it are the words, "For the one who showed me the way." David explains that he was once on the verge of giving up, overwhelmed by debt, loneliness, and the feeling of being unseen. One day, he stumbled into Ruth's bakery and overheard her talking about faith and perseverance. That conversation, though not directed at him, changed his life. "I started coming here every week," David says. "Not just for the pastries, but for the hope. You reminded me that I wasn't alone, that my story wasn't over. And now, I'm finally on my feet again." This moment leaves Ruth speechless. She realizes that her journey, filled with pain and triumph, has become a living testament to the teachings of Christ. Here's a question for you. What if your struggles weren't just for you, but for someone else who needs to see the light through your story? As the years pass, Ruth's legacy continues to grow. Her children, inspired by her resilience and faith, carry on her mission. One becomes a social worker, dedicated to helping families in need. The other becomes a pastor, spreading the message of love and grace that transformed their mother's life. But Ruth's legacy isn't just about her family, it's about the countless lives she touched, directly and indirectly. Her story becomes a modern-day parable, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, faith can light the way. In her final years, Ruth reflects on her journey, sitting in her favorite chair by the window, watching the world outside. She whispers a simple prayer of gratitude, "Thank you for never letting me walk alone." And as the sun sets on her earthly life, Ruth's impact continues to shine. Her bakery thrives under new leadership. Her community remains a testament to the power of love. And her story inspires generations to come. Now, let's turn the mirror back to you. What will your legacy be? Will it be one of faith, love, and perseverance? Or will it be something else? The choice is yours. But remember, even the smallest act of kindness can spark a flame that lights up the darkest night. Ruth's story ends here, but the questions it raises live on. What will you do with the gifts you've been given? How will you turn your pain into purpose? And most importantly, who will you inspire along the way?